Hello, Randy Johnson here from Stand Up Paddle and Sail, and today what I want to talk about are exit plans. So you want to go out and you want to return having had a good experience. But one of the things that really is helpful is to think through all the different scenarios that can come up. Obviously we can't think of them all, but certainly you want to look at the weather forecast. You want to see if there are any approaching fronts or systems that could change things. That's critically important. It's good to go out with a friend, have someone with you, or to let, if you are going by yourself, to let someone know where you're going to be. From a safety standpoint, obviously you want to be in your best shape so that you're alert, so that you can make the best decisions. Most of the problems that come up with people that engage the elements come from a lack of judgment, or where panic comes up, where they didn't anticipate an event. They were surprised and they reacted too quickly to a situation. So with exit plans, you're always saying, well, if this, then that. If this, then I'm going to do that. Perhaps the most dangerous ones with any water sport are not knowing what the tides are. You may have unexpected currents that would make it difficult for you to go against as you get sucked out into the big sea, where there's really no exit plan at that point. Some people, where it's cold water, warm air, feel safe, but they don't consider the exit plan if they were to be separated from their board, so that hypothermia could set in very fast if they were separated from their board. So you always want to be thinking of those things that could challenge and put you in harm's way. With stand-up paddle boards, it is a U.S. Coast Guard law that you have to have a personal flotation vest on the board. Personally, for me, the most important thing is that you have a leash on the board. One of the more difficult issues for people is when you have a wind and you fall off the board, where you give the board momentum kicking off the board, and the board gets away from you, traveling faster downwind than you can swim. And in some cases, the life jacket even makes this more difficult. But if you have a leash, you know that you've got the board with you at all times. So I generally advise my students to recognize that the board is your main flotation device, and do not get separated from the board. Another consideration that I like to take advantage of now that cell phone coverage is so much better than it's ever been, and now that we have waterproof casings for cell phones, it's nice just to have a cell phone with you if you can have it protected. So what kinds of things can happen? What kinds of things can come up? Perhaps the most frequent surprise people have is when wind comes up. So paddleboarding into the wind is a challenge. Your body is actually like a sail, creating resistance. So it's more challenging than when you're sitting down in a kayak or canoe. So what do we have to do? We have to reduce that sail size. So we get down on our knees and paddle on our knees. And if that is still making it difficult to penetrate to get back to our destination, we may actually have to go on our bellies prone and paddle the board like a surfboard, putting the paddle blade underneath our belly with the shaft pointing out. So really understanding that these things can happen, the winds can change, currents can come up, When you see that, one, you make sure you don't put yourself in a very difficult situation by generally paddling into the wind first and then using the wind to easily get back to where you would like to end up, or just to hold a sense of equanimity as surprise comes upon you. Again, panic, fear, and a quick reaction that may be the wrong reaction, especially a decision to leave your board, can have a catastrophic effect. So at all times, stay with your board. Try to let people know where you're at. What I like to do is say, well, what's the worst thing that can happen? And then my exit plans come from there. Sailing and paddling inland lakes, I can calculate, well, if the wind changes 180 degrees and I can't penetrate it, I'm going to get blown over to this other shore. And I'll just have to see if I can call someone at that point or walk around to get my car. But to know that my life is not in harm's way with that change of weather or change of condition. Obviously, a large body of water, consideration of exit plans becomes a matter of life and death. So if I were paddling on Lake Superior, I would absolutely want to know what the wind forecasts are, and I'd want to be aware of any possibility of change, because paddling a strong wind, offshore wind, could not have a good result. So think of your exit plans. Always think of your exit plans in terms of how you dress, in terms of your safety equipment, whether it's a PFD and leash, and information to people about where you might be and when you expect to be back, and if you can, having a cell phone with you in the event of a need to call for help. So these will all create a sense of ease and peace for you when you go out, knowing that you've got a good experience ahead of you and the presence of mind to hold contentment and peace if or when a surprise comes upon you or you have to alter your course.